All right, back to our 2024 NHL draft rankings, and coming in at number 23 from the USN TDP, it's defenseman EJ Emery.
Ross, we've been waiting for this one for a while. This is a player that both of us have targeted. Maybe it's time to get the Nodak Sens pipeline going again, and I can't think of a better player to do that with than EJ Emery, a big, physical, shut-down right-hand shot defenseman coming from the USN TDP. In 61 games last season, he had 0 goals. That's okay, though. That's okay. 16 assists. Good for 16 points. Math guy here. Look at the plus minus, Ross, plus 34. That's about Utah heat temperatures right there. That's what you like to see. And the PIM's up at 61. And a defenseman, a shut-down defensive defenseman that is going to Nodak to be under the tutelage of Brad Barry, arguably one of the best defensive coaches in the college circuit. That's music to Sens fans' ears.
It seems like a perfect defensive defenseman, exactly what the Sens need. I'm going to try to leave my North Dakota bias aside here, but he's an athlete. That's first and foremost when you read about EJ Emery, and it's in the bloodlines. His dad was a CFL player who actually played for the Ottawa Rough Riders back in the day. Super cool connection there. So EJ, his dad's American, I think that EJ was born in Compton as well, but he was raised in BC, Surrey. So he grew up in British Columbia, big Canucks guy, and then travels to Ann Arbor to take part in the program. There, he gets paired with Cole Hudson. We've already done a prospect profile on him. Just the dazzling offensive defenseman, just like his older brother Lane. So the yin-yang combination here, and EJ Emery to me is the way higher floor than Cole Hudson. And I'm here to fight the battle that EJ Emery has offensive upside. Is it a tough sell for a guy with 0 goals?
Not all only season, throughout all competitions.
Exactly. But what he can do with his skating and physicality and that first pass with the experience of playing with a highly talented offensive defenseman, he just screams to me second piece. Like a team that has an early pick, the Ottawa Senators, take that high-end offensive skill if you can. And if EJ Emery was the pick at 25, the Senators should be getting right back on the plane to Ottawa. They've done their work at the draft. Nothing more than that. He's just the perfect fit for what Ottawa, I think, should be trying to build on the back end.
Yeah, I mean, when you can find a player in this spot in the draft with this much size, this shutdown capability that EJ Emery has, you got to jump on that opportunity, especially for the Ottawa Senators. EP in their draft guide awarded him the 3rd best neutral zone defender and 4th best shutdown D. And Ross, what I love about watching EJ Emery and reading prospect reports on him and scouts reports on him is his ability to drive attackers wide and use his stick efficiently, just like we used to see Jacob Chychrun do. Ross, go back to us in Cabo when we were learning that Jacob Chychrun was coming over. And what was the number one thing we talked about? His ability to have good gap control and effectively use that stick to keep guys wide and shut plays down. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, look at the picture of EJ Emery here. It looks like he's got a fishing pole for a stick. Like, this guy has range. He's going to be able to stop and shut down plays before they even get started. And that's exactly the type of player the Ottawa Senators need.
EJ Emery in the Elite Prospects Draft Guide was ranked the 3rd best neutral zone defender behind Anton Siliev and Charlie Ehrlich. The 4th best shutdown defenseman, Ben Danford, sneaking in 3rd. The other two aforementioned, 1-2 again. And then you just see kind of the consistency in his write-up where he can just, like, he screams to me that Mark Mathot type that we always talk about, that every team needs, that right shot as well. So think Artem Zub. If you can have, Zub as a solid veteran, and then in 3 years' time, EJ Emery's coming up and kind of, easing into that same role. I think it's going to take some time. I think he's at least a 2, maybe even a 3-year guy in the NCAA, but the juice is going to be worth the squeeze. Much like we liked Will Skahan in a different sense, in a bit of a later play, I'm seeing that, but with more offensive upside and a way better skater. So this would be a top pick. He's going to be higher on my list than 23. He's going to be in the mid-teens, I think, when it's all said and done. You've heard me wax poetically. And lastly, because I did say I wanted to fight the battle for him being an offensive defenseman, it finally started to show at the World Under-18s, where they were the talk of the tournament, that deep pair with Hudson. And he was plus 15 in 7 games, but also contributed 6 points. And he does so many right things that lead to points. Eventually, you got to believe they're going to come. He's not going to be a 30, 40-point guy, Pilsy, but I do think that he's a guy who has more offensive gifts than the production would show.
I'm not with you on the offense, Ross.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. But when you're this elite of a shutdown defender, I don't care if he scores 0 goals in his NHL career, Ross, because this guy just completely shuts it down with his ability to stop opponents from getting into the offensive zone. We talked about it. EP has him ranked as the 3rd best neutral zone defender. So it's so tough for teams just to get inside the blue line when he's on the ice. I really liked EP's. They had one scout compare him to Keandre Miller. I really think that that's a really nice player comparable. Ross, you'll remember from that draft when Keandre Miller was in the Ottawa Senators kind of range there.
Well, but Sens traded back that pick. That pick was Keandre Miller.
Exactly. You and I were sitting there being like, please let the Ottawa Senators have a chance to get Miller. We loved everything that Keandre Miller brought to the table. And I'll speak for myself. I still like everything Miller has brought to the table. And if EJ Emery can turn into that type of player, I think any team,
too.
Exactly, as a right shot, I think any team would love to be able to get the opportunity to step up to the draft table and draft him. He's a smooth skater, which allows him to defend even better. So if you're a team looking to draft a right-hand shutdown defenseman, so far, Ross, there's only one player that I would take ahead of EJ Emery.
Give me a 5 stars.
Ross, I think it's not going to be surprising at all from the way we've talked about him. I've got EJ Emery at 4.5 stars here.
Oh, my goodness. You're not even going to have a single 5-star guy, are you?
Well, let's wait till we're on what's Emery here, number 23. We got a lot more players to cover here. And I mentioned it. I love EJ Emery, but if the Ottawa Senators had a chance to take Charlie Elick, I'm taking Charlie Elick ahead of EJ Emery.
Really? Not me.
Ross, what were Emery's top awarded aspects for EP? Yeah. Remind me.
Yeah. We went through this. Neutral zone defending and in zone defending.
He was Emery is 3rd or 4th in neutral zone. No, 3rd in neutral zone defending.
Yeah, and Elick, 4th shutdown.
Elick 2nd. 4th in
Elick
shutdown.
Or Elick? One of the two.
Elick. Emery's 4th shutdown defenseman. Elick is 2nd. And Emery is not one of their top hardest hitters. Elick is number 5 in hardest hitter. And Elick, I don't need to convince people as much as you're trying to convince people that he does have offensive upside. So that's where, and then you got a right-hand shot defenseman, and I believe Elick is even bigger than EJ Emery. So I think all those provide the reason to have him as a slight edge, but this is EJ Emery's prospect profile. I'm not trying to downplay him. I'm just saying if I had the chance, both those guys available at the draft table, I know where I'm going.
Look for EJ Emery to go easily into night 1 of the NHL draft, a 1st-round talent, no doubt, who hopefully ends up in the nation's capital.